Get home from school, turn on my TV. Who are these friends staring right back at me? Now that we're older, why don't you come over and go back in time with me? 90s babies nostalgia.
Hi, I'm Amanda.
And I'm Jessica.
And this is 90s Babies Nostalgia, where a couple of 90s babies rewatch and sometimes watch for the first time tween entertainment from the early 2000s. And yes, that's right, we are using our regular intro again.
Just to be clear, we are not sponsored by or affiliated with any of the channels, actors, production company, anything we talk about today. We are just talking about because we really love talking about TV. And today we're talking about
the ultimate
Christmas
present. We struggled a little bit, but we got there.
Yes.
Before we get into it, though, Jessica, what have you been enjoying lately?
Last night on Hulu, I discovered this, I guess it's a show. It has seasons, but it's called Puppies Crash Christmas. And it's essentially just puppies playing with Christmas presents, ripping them open, playing with the bows, as well as they'll have like Christmas foods. And it's the puppies eating the foods. And it's just like, it's like the Christmas fireplace that you would put on your TV, except like cuter and more enjoyable to watch.
Oh, that sounds really fun.
Yeah, it's really,
puppies.
really cute. What are you watching?
I am
enjoying.
It's all right. I was gonna go with the show. This is dated, guys. This is dated. We are on our shit, which means we're not recording in the moment anymore. I'm really enjoying Love Island Games. It's maybe the best series of Love Island that they've ever created. Lots of people on Twitter agree with me. I know I will not be calling it by its other name. And I only use it for Love Island. I got it back for that specifically. It's just I'm so mad because they're only doing 20 episodes and it's so good. It's so good. Like the challenges are ridiculous, but some of them are athletic and they get really shady. Like they made them vote for different couples to be vulnerable through their games in front of all the other couples. It was just very, yeah. And also there's a really cute couple that came out of the show, even though this one wasn't about love, it was about the games. And I just really enjoy watching them together.
Cute. I also like how casually you're like, there's only 20 episodes. Like, that's not already a ridiculous amount.
There's normally like twice that.
Wild.
At least. It's only on for 3 weeks. Normally they're on for 6 to 8.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
We have something really exciting. We are doing a DCOM again.
It's been so long.
So long. Both Amanda and I were like, do we know how to record our regular content anymore? Because we've been doing remix content for you guys for the last few months. And so it feels good to be back. We watched The Ultimate Christmas Present, which premiered December 1st, 2000. And it was written by Michael Hitchcock, who is a writer but also an actor, known for acting in Bridesmaids, Glee, Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, and then he also was a huge writer and producer for Mad TV. And it was directed by Greg Beeman, who also directed Brink.
Oh, cool. So this is, as Jess said, we've been struggling. Well, not struggling. We're worried about how to get into our regular content, but we are excited for it. We haven't done a DCOM in a while. I'm more nervous about how we're going to do a show, but this is a great dipping our toes back in because we watched this and we were both like so excited about what's to come, like the Disney Channel vibes that we love. Running out with our characters, we have starring Allie Thompson, not starring. She is the main character, not an actor.
Mhm.
She's a 13-year-old girl in STEM. Like, she's inventing things. She loves adventure. She cares more about the thrills in life than anything or anyone else. And she is portrayed by Hallie Hirsch.
Mhm.
Not sure. I recognized her immediately, not by name, just one of those faces that I know from everything. Apparently, she's mostly known for Flight 29 Down and ER. I
Mhm.
know her as like a guest star in every single crime show or medical show that has ever been, and
Mhm.
also as, I think it's Rachel in Speak.
Mhm.
So, and then Jess.
Go.
And then we have Sam Kwan, who is Allie's best friend, and she lives next door, and she has a dead dad because that's a personality trait, and she goes along with everything that Allie does, even though she doesn't want to do it. And she is portrayed by none other than the queen of Disney Channel herself, Miss Brenda Song.
Mhm.
I believe this is Brenda's first role on Disney Channel.
Yes, from the research I did, at least first like larger role. And then we have Joey Thompson, who's Allie's like annoying little brother. And he's portrayed by Spencer Breslin.
Who's arguably the, like, Brenda Song, no shade. Spencer Breslin might be like one of the most successful actors to come out of this film. Although actually
Totally.
there is a stacked cast, but like Spencer Breslin had his time, you know?
This cast is stacked in the way that like these actors have not stopped, but there's not a lot of people who are like known for like 3 or 4 big things. Like this cast is a lot of people who like have an episode here, 2 episodes here, 3 episodes in this show, and they're like in all these guest roles in all these films. Like they're just really, really busy working actors, like the entire cast.
Yeah.
But Spencer Breslin is known for a shit ton of stuff, but I just wrote down a few. He's known for Meet the Parents, Return to Neverland, Santa Claus 2 and 3, You Wish. He's in Cat in the Hat, Princess Diaries 2. He gets around.
I didn't realize he was in The Princess Diaries too. I know his sister is, Abigail Breslin.
Mhm.
She's the little girl that sucks her thumb. Yeah, and he was more so a child actor. I don't know what he's doing now.
Mhm. And then we have Michelle Thompson, who is like the mom that does it all. She runs a catering company out of the kitchen. She's constantly on phone calls. She's running around trying to keep everyone's schedules intact. And she is played by Hallie Todd, who on this podcast we mostly know as Joe McGuire in Lizzie McGuire.
AKA the mom of all moms.
Yeah, my first thing I wrote down was, oh my God, it's Lizzie's mom.
Yeah, and I feel like this is almost the same character, just with a different job and a different family.
Yes, exactly.
And she, mom of all moms, is married to Steve Thompson, who is, I wrote, a wannabe Bezos with dog bones. He's trying to get his startup off the ground of a website where people can choose their dog bones to order. This is about the digital revolution, baby. The year is 2000. And he is portrayed by Greg Keane. What's he done? A few things.
Mm-hmm. And then we have Edwin Hadley, who's like the boring weatherman that cares a lot about science. Like he really throws a lot of terms that no one knows what he's talking about while telling you what the weather's going to be. And he is played by Peter Scolari, who's known for Newhart Girls and That Thing You Do.
Then we have a couple of really incredible, silly, goofy elves. We have Sparky, who is played by Bill Fagerbake. I believe is how it's pronounced. I did look at the pronunciation on Wikipedia, but that was about 5 hours ago. Sparky is a silly, goofy elf who's like the dumb blonde. And Bill Fagerbake is the voice of fucking Patrick Star in everything ever. He's done some live action. He is predominantly a voice actor, and his most notable role is that of Patrick Star in anything ever that Patrick Star has been in, which blew my mind because I did not recognize his voice at all while watching this film. Also known for The Hunchback of Notre Dame, as Jess wrote it, The Legend of Frosty the Snowman, Jennifer's Body, Lloyd in Space, and How I Met Your Mother. It's truly just a drop in the bucket of credits when you look at his Wikipedia, though.
Mm-hmm.
And his silly goofy elf, he's the sidekick to the other silly goofy elf, Crumpet, who is more the brains of the silly goofy elves in STEM combo. They are also trying to partake in this digital revolution, capitalism, baby. And by silly goofy elves, I mean fully grown men. And he is portrayed by John Sally, known for Confessions of a Shopaholic and Bad Boys.
Mm-hmm. And then, to round it off, we get Santa Claus, which Amanda wrote in the description. I mean, he's Santa, which is true. He's played by John B. Lowe. None of the names really... he is very, very busy actor. None of the names stood out to me. He's in a lot of Christmas films and quite a few Hallmark films. As you can tell, he looks like Santa, so of course he is.
So he's mostly portraying Santa.
Uh-huh.
So, kicking us off, we are in Los Angeles, the city of angels, baby Jessica's hometown. 3 days before Christmas, and these kids are still in school. Allie's watching TV, and the weatherman, Mr. Hadley, says it's gonna be a hot and sunny Christmas, baby. And then she's going to school and talking about how her and Sam were invited to Blake Lynch's Christmas party, and the teacher calls her out for scribbling Blake's name all over her notebook and is like, hey, what are you writing your creative essay about this due tomorrow? And she makes up a big fat lie. And Blake is right there and he's like, I really liked your lie. And after school, they decide to take a shortcut home through the woods. Have they ever been there before? Probably not, because Allie sees a house that she's never seen before in her life, despite this being her shortcut, and decides that it would be really funny. First of all, she needs to know who lives there. And then when she sees an old grumpy man, she decides it's going to be funny to ding-dong ditch. And then he throws something violently out of the open door, and she decides that one man's trash is her treasure and takes it. So she steals stuff. Yep.
And it's like a little gadget. So once they get home, and the whole time Sam is like, we shouldn't steal. We should put it back. That's not ours. And Allie's like, it was garbage. Like, it was in the trash.
Oh, yeah. I didn't say that the old man she steals from is Santa.
Yeah, it is. And so what's he doing in LA? Who knows? Also, where do these kids live in LA that they're just meandering through a forest on their way home? Also confusing. Not the point. Back to the plot. They get home, they run upstairs, and Allie turns on the robot and it starts spinning its little antenna, and it's creating rain and clouds and thunder and lightning and even an earthquake.
Very frightening.
Yeah. So they're like, oh, this must be some sort of like weather gadget. They learn it can snow. So they take the little gadget and they put it in the like planter box that's attached to the window because she wants it to snow so she doesn't have to do her creative writing assignment. But she's like, hey, I saw like my cousin that lives in Boston gets a snow day sometimes, so maybe we'll have a snow day. They don't see it working, and so they're like, maybe this won't work. Then we flash to the same day, but at the North Pole.
As one does. We have Crumpet and Sparky walking into Mrs. Claus's office, pitching her the capitalistic dream of making factories and the elves become obsolete, so they become telemarketers. And she's like, that's the worst thing that I've ever heard of, and I stan a socialist queen. Then Mr. Claus calls, and he's like, someone stole my stuff. And she's like, I'll send Fiona and someone else that I don't remember the name of. And he's like, you can't spare my good elves right before Christmas. So she sends these two idiots. And they are scared of reindeer. So they go in their SUV, Santa Utility Vehicle, which is another thing that they just invented. It's a hovercraft, basically, except bad. And I was not. Yep, they run out of gas. Yep, that's the bad part. They run out of gas because Sparky forgot to fill it up, and they fall somewhere, somehow. So that delays them.
Mm-hmm. Then we're back in LA. It's snowing, baby. And
A lot.
yes. And Edwin, our weatherman, is at his desk frantically trying to figure out where this storm came from. Because he's like, this makes no sense. Where is this coming from? He's called into his boss's office. His boss is kind of an asshole, but gives him a realistic critique of, you are kind of boring to watch, sir, which is not a lie. But also scolds him for not predicting the snowstorm. And so his boss is like, you have one last chance to dig up some real news on this storm, or you're out of here.
And to him, real news on this storm is like a celebrity slipped on some ice.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Allie gets her way, and school is cancelled for the day. Sparky and Crumpet finally show up at Santa's summer cabin, where they are trying to help him find the weather machine, and he lifts up the trash can lid, and they find a footprint in pristine condition, preserved from the snow. They immediately recognize the size, and they're trying to find it in their little gadget-dinger software on the computer, but Santa, just from memory, goes, I know exactly that shoe and exactly that size, and there are 1,000 and something. He knows the exact number of girls in LA who have size 7 feet that he delivered to, and then he goes through the naughty list before the nice list, because probability is it's not a nice girl that's doing this.
Mm-hmm. Steve, the dad, his flight is delayed. He had to travel to San Francisco for a business trip. We didn't really cover that, but that's where he is. And he is stuck there because the snow has made it all the way to San Francisco. And at this point, Allie's like, wait, this is bad. Like, my dad has to come home for Christmas. We need to be a family together on Christmas. So Allie and Sam turn off the weather machine when they realize how much harm it's causing. And then we have this kind of like intimate moment where Sam opens up to Allie about losing her dad and how difficult it is for her around the holidays. And the snow finally stops, and we see Joey and Allie decorate a cactus because they're not getting their Christmas tree until Christmas Eve. But Allie's like, that may not happen because of the snowstorm that I caused. So as a backup, at least we have a cactus with Christmas lights. Then in the middle of the night, we see the little weather gadget shoot its little antenna out of its head, and it starts making more snow.
Edwin Hadley, I wrote down Hadley, she wrote down Edwin. I'm rewiring my brain. The meteorologist somehow, with his computer and various labs, is able to detect the exact address in LA from which this storm started. So he goes to the Thompsons' house and tells Miss Mom of it all that they've won a contest to spend the day with him, and he starts snooping around the house, and she offers coffee, and he's like, I never touch the stuff. Actually, yes, coffee, please, and also 25 snacks, and also maybe a pot roast. So she goes and starts preparing things and calls her husband.
Important to note before this, because we didn't mention, Allie does try to turn it off, but none of the buttons are working anymore. So the weather machine is just making more snow, and it cannot be stopped.
Yes, we also didn't mention that Edwin steals a snowmobile to get to the Thompsons' house. Yes, I kind of jumped around a little bit. The plot jumps around. So he's at the Thompsons' house. Next, Blake's party is canceled. That also happens.
Yep.
Which is another, like, stab in their back about this snow machine.
Yes, it's one of the things that's adding to Allie feeling more guilt towards stealing this gadget and turning it on so she can get out of a homework assignment. So, while searching for his Christmas present, Joey sees the weather machine. He's like, this is where Allie must have hid my present because she hid my birthday present there, and I know better. And Allie's like, stay away from that window. Like, don't go out there. Because she doesn't want anyone to know about this weather gadget. And so they're brainstorming what to do next. And they're like, if we go into the garage, there's a toolbox. If we put the weather machine in the toolbox and lock it, it won't get a signal, so it will stop making snow.
Yeah, somehow Sam is like, do you have a lead box? I think those can stop signals from something she knows. And I just want to say, the silent ones sometimes are really the smartest.
Oh, absolutely. So they venture into the garage. They kind of have to sneak out because the mom's like, absolutely not. Where do you girls think you're going in this snowstorm? And so they bump into Santa and his elves. And they both are like, you're not Santa. And so he spills their deepest secrets and they believe him. And he's like, we have to get the weather machine.
And so this is while Edwin is at the house.
Mm-hmm.
He's distracting the mom, looking under everything, screws open a lamp while the mom is calling her husband, and she's like, did you enter a radio contest or some sort of contest? And Santa's explaining to the kids that the weather machine is so important because he wanted to give everyone the ultimate Christmas present, a light dusting of snow that makes everyone slow down for a second and appreciate the beauty of work. But he was making tweaks to it because it wouldn't work correctly. Surprise, surprise. Edwin, still snooping around the house, goes into Allie's room where he finds Joey huddled like a traumatized little baby under her window, holding the machine as it creates a vortex in her bedroom. And he's like, give it to me. You stole that. And he's like, I didn't steal it. And he's like, yes, you did. And they'll put you in jail. And he's like, I don't want to go to jail, and gives it to Edwin. Why do we threaten little kids with jail all the time? I don't know, because it's effective.
Mm-hmm.
Then Santa and the elves and Allie and Sam also go upstairs and run into Edwin. He jumps out of the window, but it's fine because he lands on like a really tall snow bank because it's been snowing ages, and gets on his snowmobile to escape. They chase him because, again, Allie knows these fucking shortcuts. I don't know why she would know a shortcut to where he's going because I don't think they know where he's going. But he goes crashing through a door to a candy factory and lands in a giant vat of liquid chocolate. And they follow him there, where they have this weird standoff. They find him. He zip lines with a giant candy cane. He lands in a huge box of cotton candy, and he drops the machine while he's ziplining, which, by the way, he turned off no problem. And Allie catches it,
Mm-hmm.
and the Edwin is captured.
Yes. And then we see it back in Santa's hands, and he's trying to fix it. And I'm pretty sure Sam's like, did you check the batteries? And Santa's like, oh, yes, I only use my specific Santa type of battery, which lasts 100 years. And he's like, oh, but I ran out that day. And so sure enough, it just needed new batteries, which is confusing because it was working the whole time. I don't know. It just doesn't seem like how batteries are worked, but that's what it needed. And so
He also used chewing gum straight from Sparky's mouth.
Yeah. They raise the temperature to 58 degrees. They bring out the sun. And Santa is like, Allie, if you want to get off the naughty list, you need to learn a lesson from today. And so then, also Edwin is like, I feel like a failure. And Santa's like, I can offer you a new challenge. And we will get to that new challenge later. And Allie asks Santa for a favor. And so we see the mom and Joey and Allie all cuddling on the couch. And on the Christmas tree, that's a cactus, a card shows up and it says, your gift should arrive right about. And when you open it, it says now. And they hear a car honking. And it is Steve pulling up in a Jeep. Because he caught a ride with Sparky and Crumpet from San Francisco.
Who he calls Crumpy and Sparket.
Mm-hmm.
And then we see the Edwin got a new job teaching meteorology in Antarctica to a bunch of nerds who think he's a rock star.
Yep, except when Steve arrives, the whole family hugs on the front lawn, and Steve says that being home for Christmas is the ultimate Christmas present.
I was really glossing. I skipped over that because I didn't think it was that important, but clearly
It's
you
the
did
title
because
of the movie.
yeah, but they said it earlier too. They say it twice.
Yeah, but it's bringing it full circle. It's not the snow, it's being together. It's the theme. Come on.
All right. So, I know I'd seen this at least once growing up, maybe twice tops. What I remembered was Brenda Song and a white girl steal Santa's weather machine and make it snow in LA. That was the all I remembered. So I knew the plot going in. What I did not know was that it was going to be incredibly written and a wild ride. Jess, on the other hand, had no idea what it was about, had never seen it, and wasn't sure she had heard of it. What did you think?
No, I had heard of it, but I wasn't sure I had ever watched it, and I thought maybe there was a chance because some of these DCOMs, I'm like, I never watched that, and then it goes on. I'm like, oh my god, I've seen this like 12 times. So I thought it might be one of those. It was not. I definitely had never seen it. It was amazing. Like, people need to talk about it more. It is, as Amanda said, wonderfully written. There's not a dull moment. The pacing is amazing. It's an hour and 20 minutes, which is like the perfect time to just like throw on a film and watch it. It is so good.
Yeah, I was texting Jess because I watched it right before her, and I was like, oh my god, I'm obsessed with this movie. And then I was worried I was hyping it up too much. And after she finished it, she was like, oh my god, I loved that. It
So
was
good.
just like, and I am not someone for like, oh, Disney did it better. Like, I think that's slander. But I did kind of feel like they truly don't make them like this anymore.
I completely agree. It is such a good TV movie. Like, it's just it was a really, really, really great watch.
Mhm.
Other things I wanted to note here is that Hallie Hirsch, Brenda Song, and Spencer Breslin were all nominated in the Young Artist Awards in 2001 for Best Performance in a TV Movie, and Hallie Hirsch and Brenda Song won. So that just shows you that, like, in terms of TV movie, it did get some awards. However, it has a 5.6 rating out of 10 on IMDb, and I would like to talk about this because it's just wrong. That I'm sorry, it's wrong.
I fucking saw this for the first time on our notes, and I'm so appalled. Like, I'm so upset. It's a good movie.
It's a great like, is it groundbreaking? No.
Yes!
But you think so? I don't
I
think
think it's incredible.
yeah, I do think it's really, really good. And it's not like your Hallmark, which is giving romance. I like that it's a little fantastical. They're on this adventure. There's Santa Claus. There's this weather gadget. But it is still touches on like being together and spending time as a family and like how your selfish decisions even when you're a child do affect others. Like, it is really, really good.
I also loved a lot of the one-liners in this, and I liked that our main characters were real characters. There
Mm.
were a few, like, peripheral characters. I would say Joey and the elves in particular are just, like, one note. That's fine. They're more there for comedic relief. But I
Hmm.
would say the mom and especially Allie and Sam are, like, well-rounded. They have multiple layers to them. Allie's not a very likable character to me. Like, she's kind of an asshole,
Hmm.
as a lot of 13-year-old girls are, but she's not unrelatable. And there are reasons for the way that she acts in a way. And like, she's not always a bad person. Like, she's not a bad person, even though she's not likable. Like, it's, like, it's
Hmm.
complicated to say because she is like an actually rounded character. And Sam also is like kind of meek, but then she speaks up for herself sometimes, and she has a lot to say when she does bother to say it. And she's got the whole parents thing, and like, I don't know. I enjoyed that they were actually characters.
Yeah, and I do feel like even though there's this adventure tied into it, a lot of time is spent on like building up these characters so you feel like they are real. They're not just like thrown in there and now there's this adventure. Like, you do kind of learn about their personalities and why they're making the decisions they make. So you feel more invested in continuing to watch it.
I will say, when they turned off the weather machine and Sam revealed that her dad is dead, I wrote in all caps, "Dead dad drop, LOL."
Mm-hmm.
Because we love to give kids dead parents as a characteristic. I'm guilty of it myself in the book that I'm writing. So, favorite moments.
This schedule, we get this scene where Michelle, is that the mom's name? I think so.
Yeah.
Michelle is trying to figure out everyone's schedules on Christmas Day so she can come up with the plan. She's like, from 8 to 10, we're going to open up presents, and then we're going to have lunch at 12:30, and we're going to, right, she's planning out everything. Blake's party that Allie and Sam want to go to is on Christmas Day. What? And also, Joey has a basketball tournament on Christmas Day? I'm like, these things would just not be happening.
No, they would not.
And they're in school up until, I guess that's semi-realistic, because we're at 3 days before Christmas, and I think the last day of school before break is 2 days before Christmas, so that would have been the 23rd. But it still feels wild.
Yeah, I think it's usually a little late because then they have the week through New Year's and they try not to get more than like a week.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of confusing schedules, they're talking about not getting a Christmas tree until Christmas Eve. What's the point?
Yeah, because they're waiting until the dad comes home to do it. And it's like, bruh, do they even have any trees left?
Yeah, I feel
the
like it's all slim pickings. You're probably going to get one that's missing a few branches.
Like, your cactus tree is as good as you're going to get at this point. And
Yeah.
honestly, cactus tree kind of was great.
Yeah, it was really cute. I really liked it. In this scene while they're in class, Allie is not listening to the teacher and just has Blake's name in like bubble letters and in different fonts with like stars and hearts all over her journal. And if that was not me in middle school, I
That's
just
very cute.
loved it. I felt like it was very accurate representation of middle school girl, or at least me.
I think I did that a few times, but I did it as a learned behavior.
Mm.
Like, I saw people on TV do it and I was like, oh, this is a thing. So I did it.
Fair. I have a question. Did you
Yes,
ever
ma'am.
try to find where your presents were hidden as a child?
Not really. We had a schedule. My brother and I, we would get up around 3 in the morning to get our stockings, and then we would open them together and then go back to sleep for a couple hours until our parents were up around 6, and then we would go down to the tree and Santa would have come before our stockings. So I wasn't really like, yeah, I was more of a like a I wanna know what it is on the day rather than, like, trying to spoil it. My mom was also really good at hiding our presents,
Mm.
and she would the Santa presents were always in a different wrapping paper with a different handwriting, and, like, she
Mm.
went all out for us. I will say one year we got Razor scooters from Santa, and then, like, shortly thereafter, my brother saw the boxes in the garage.
Mm.
And that kinda was where our belief ended.
Fair. Yeah. Me and my younger sibling were not trying to figure out where they were hidden. I think we just accepted that we had to wait until Christmas Day.
Same.
But I do feel like this is a common trope in like holiday films where there's like the child that wants to find the present. And I know those people exist in real life too, but I was just not one of them.
Did you try to figure out what they were, though? 'Cause I would do sometimes. I would, like, feel it and be like, "This is a book," or, like, shake it and, like, "This is a DVD," or "This is a video game," or something.
If they were already like wrapped under the tree.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I would totally look at the shape and like shake it and put it to your ear. So you're like, this wiggles around in the box. What could this be? Or this is lighter than I expected.
Mhm. So, the technology and capitalism themes in this movie fucking killed me. I loved it. It was so funny. Right off the bat, we've got the dad with his internet stuff, dog bones. We've got the mom doing the scheduling on the computer. We've got the elves pitching a warehouse factory automation system and telemarketing. And I just thought, like, this is a digital revolution age movie, and this is a commentary on it. And I did not expect that from a DCOM, and I loved it.
There was a lot of commentary on capitalism and the
Yeah.
boom.
And tech and, like, people moving too quickly. I loved it. It was so unexpected. I
The
also
dog
love
bone plot cracked me up because I'm like, yeah, that actually is how most people buy their dog bones now. Like, it's just funny.
because they're like, "What? Do you really think people are gonna buy dog bones online?" And he's
And
like,
he's like,
"Yes, when
we
they
have
find out we have a
over 100
selection of a."
options.
Yeah. Another thing I loved is that the dreamy Blake Lynch is totally smaller than them. Like, he's a little baby. And I remember as a girl, like, that was often there was slim pickings. You tried to like someone who was taller than you, but sometimes you were a tall girl for your age. I wouldn't be surprised if this actor was fully 2 years younger than them. But I like that's puberty for you. Also, he could be the same age. And I appreciated that.
Yeah, and girls normally go through puberty or a little earlier. So normally, like, the boys don't get their growth spurts until like summer before high school, and honestly, most of them not until like halfway through high school. So all of us girls already had our growth spurt, and we're like, "What the heck is going on?" So I felt like it was realistic that like their crush was the popular boy that's having a party at his house on Christmas, but he is just this kind of like adorable little boy. Like.
It cracked me up that Allie has zero sense of self-preservation or fear. She really just runs into every situation head first. I can gloss over that.
No,
Mama.
can we talk about it? Because that was confusing. Mr. and Mrs. Claus call each other Mama and Papa.
Yeah.
And like, do you call your significant other? I'm not asking Amanda this, I'm asking the audience.
Because
like,
Amanda is chronically single.
But like, do you call your significant other Mama or Papa? Or have you, did your parents do that? Like, I know that this is not just a this film thing, but it feels weird to me.
My parents call each other mom and dad when they are talking about each other to me. When they are talking to each other, they call themselves by their names. But when they're talking to me, they'll be like, Dad said this.
Yeah,
or your mother says this.
I almost think like Mama and Papa is more like a pet name, like baby or babe or darling. Like, it gives me more that energy. However, I do just find it slightly creepy. But it's not like, I'm not saying I find this sexy, but it's not sexy in the way that some people find like daddy sexy. Like Mama and Papa is just kind of weird.
I hate the use of daddy, but yes. I have only like I wrote this down as like I'm pretty sure it's a thing. I don't know why it's a thing. Like for Mr. and Mrs. Claus, I think it's a thing because in the animated stop motion Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, they call each other Mama and Papa.
Oh, it's like a Mr. and Mrs. Claus lore.
That's what I want to know. If anyone out there knows what the lore is, let us know. Fill us in. I will say it looks a lot weirder when actual human beings do it. When it's animated, it kind of makes sense. I don't know why. Very strange. One of my favorite things, shout out to this shot, when Edwin's getting his ass handed to him by his boss says like, I wouldn't have kept you on if it weren't for the fact that I'm married to your sister. And then they show a photo of his boss and his wife, but his wife is just the actor that plays Edwin in a wig.
I did not catch that. That is gold.
I loved it. Also shout out to the terrible prosthetic elf ears because you could totally see them if they ever closed up on their faces. I noticed it especially when they were at the computer with the shoe print. Like you can see where the point part starts, where it melds with the ear. It's not blended at all.
It's more giving Halloween instead of makeup artist.
Yes. It's giving do it yourself.
I loved this so much. There's this montage of all the naughty girls that they're like confronting and being like, "Did you steal our weather machine?" And these girls are like hiding behind bushes as like a couple is enjoying a lovely walk in the snow and like shaking a tree so all of the snow falls on their head. Like they are just being mischievous as fuck, and I love it.
They're being intentionally awful. That's like they're just little mini psychopaths. It's so weird.
Yeah, but also in a way that I'm like, is it really that harmful? Like nothing they did was
That's
that
true.
terrible.
That's true.
Like it was pretty harmless. Like sure, it's annoying, but they weren't like hurting or bringing like undue harm to anyone. They were just like, some snow in your face, bitch. Like
Speaking of naughty girls, I know I touched on this already, but Allie's a terrible friend. Like, she's not a great person. She's not a terrible person, but she's a terrible friend. Like, at one point, she says that she's gonna wear an outfit that she just got a week ago, and Sam's like, "That's because I lent it to you, and you never gave it back." And Allie's like, "Well, you might as well give it to me then." And Sam says, like, "You never give my stuff back. Like, you just returned the Lion King movie." And she's like, "I lent it to you when I was 6." Like, would you stick around with the friend? Like, because Sam's even like almost smiling when she says that. It's like she's not even pushing back. Is that not weird?
I don't know, it's hard for me to think of how I would act with a friend at that age. Because I feel like if it was something I really wanted, I would just ask for it back. Or when I was at their house, I would just take it and be like, I'm taking this back. It's mine. I need it now. But as an adult, I feel like that would borrow me less. Like in college, the amount of things that just like were mine, I purchased them. They were my clothes, but they lived in my roommate's closets because they wore them more often than I would. And like the one time that I'm like, that shirt of mine, I would actually like to wear it today. I would just venture into their closet and pull it. And I never like took offense to things like that. But that's older.
I've always been very possessive, and I still am. It's not a great quality of mine, but it's not something I've ever known how to kick.
Yeah. I think that I'm very much like, if I like you, I don't really care if you take things from me, as long as I feel like there is some balance exchange happening.
That's fair. And like you said, like Sam's over at their house all the time. She could take her stuff back.
Yeah. Like to me, I know we described her as meek and she is meek. And like obviously Allie is not at fault in this case. Like she definitely should be returning the things, but also it's like, Sam, you could just take it back. Like there's no reason you're just letting Allie keep all your shit. Like you are also complacent in this.
Yeah. Speaking of Sam, portrayed by Miss Brenda, cracked me up when she was talking about her dead dad. There is this one part where they're zoomed in on Allie's face as she listens, and then they cut back to Brenda, and one tear per eye, starting in her eyes, just very deliberately rolls down her face. And like you just know in between shots they went and put some eye drops in her eyes so she could cry, and it's just so deliberate. Cracked me up. Also, I really liked that in Santa spilling their secrets, the secret that Allie had, which to me really grounded this film, was that everyone in her family is running in different directions, so they never have time for each other, and secretly it makes her sad. I just thought that was a really relatable and like important message to put in the film.
I agree. It did really like the moments that grounded the film, which were like the moments where they really like, were sad that the dad wasn't going to be there, talked about spending time as a family together when Santa opened up about her secret. Like those moments really made the film feel like this wholesome Christmas film while it still had this kind of like kooky plot going on.
Yeah.
Things that I did not like. why the fuck was Michelle just letting Edwin up in her house, roaming around like a creep? An absolute crazy person. His eyes are like darting, like he can't focus on anything. They're darting all over the room. And she's like, would you like some coffee? Like, no, kick that man out of your house. What the hell is he doing? He's up to no good.
He's really a normal guy, like not evil at all, until this storm drives him absolutely nuts and he just snaps and
Yeah.
becomes crazy evil villain. And yeah, he does look bananas while he's there. I mean, I kind of get that he's a public figure and he was like, you want a contest? But I still would be like, could you wait outside while I confirm with my husband?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And I feel like she does let him in, but hesitantly. I don't know. It's very weird.
Yeah. He does kind of push his way in.
Yeah.
Something else I didn't like is that while Joey was guessing what Allie could have possibly gotten him for Christmas, one of the things he says is, I know, you got me a poster of the Laker girls. He's like 8. He's like 8. He's a tiny little human. He doesn't need to be sexualizing women.
Correct.
Didn't like that.
Agreed. Also, Amanda writes, why were all of these things in the candy factory just opened and uncovered? Which, I never really thought of when watching the movie. The giant vat of chocolate is clearly being heated because it's melted. So that's not weird to me that it's uncovered. But it is weird because it's like, who's working? Because at this point, it's Christmas Day or Christmas Eve. Like, who's working at the candy factory?
That's what I'm saying. There's the giant vat of chocolate and the big box of cotton candy are just open, and it's clearly not a food safe environment, and no one is working. Where is the FDA to shut this place down? Anyway, those are our thoughts. We now have some quotes because, again, this movie has some incredible one-liners.
I don't remember when this happened. I think Allie says it, but she goes, I did not insult him. I told him the truth, which I feel all the time when people tell me that I'm being insensitive. And I'm like, did I lie?
I also don't know when that's from, but yeah, mood. It's like, well, did you take the truth as an insult?
And then there's this moment where Allie's like, am I brilliant or what? And Sam is like, in a mad scientist sort of way. And I feel like this really wraps up their like friendship. And it is kind of true. Like, I just really loved it.
Allie has the gift of gab. She can talk herself into anything or talk other people into anything.
And then the last one I noted, which is Santa talking to Allie towards the end of the film, kind of talking about like why she's on the naughty list and like what she can do to get off the naughty list and where she has to be careful. And he says, you're a trailblazer with a great sense of adventure. And I just really liked that because I do think like some people are those people. And when you are a trailblazer or an adventurous person, you do tend to be a little troublesome as well. It can get you into trouble.
I actually really liked that as well because he says, that comes with responsibility and you're going to have to not use it too selfishly. But that is true. That he's not casting judgment and saying it's a bad thing. He could have used plenty of other words to say like you're reckless. But instead he just says it in a way that she takes as a compliment and sounds super cool, even though it's also the reason she's on the naughty list.
It's like an area that like that is a fact. She is a trailblazer. She does have a sense of adventure, but she can like learn from this and learn how to be responsible from it instead of him just being like, as you said, you're reckless, you don't care for others, you're selfish. Like those all could have been said instead. And I like that they weren't. Yeah.
Don't pass judgment on children and ambitions and tear them down. Yeah. I don't know. I thought the writing was great, guys.
It was.
I have a handful of quotes as well. When they are traveling through the woods and on their shortcut, Allie is like, "Just trust me, it's a shortcut." And Sam says, "Every time you say trust me, I either end up in detention or her missing persons list."
Mm-hmm.
Which is also very indicative of their relationship
Mm-hmm.
and was hilarious. Also, when they are at the house and they come in and they're like, "Oh my god, it smells so good," because the mom is cooking for all of the Christmas parties that are going to be canceled once the snowstorm hits. Allie says, "We never get to eat the good stuff. We get frozen dinners." And the mom goes, "You do not. You get takeout."
Mm-hmm. I felt that one so hard because as someone who grew up as a chef, as a father, so many people were like, "Oh my god, you must have had like the best dinners ever." And I was like, "No, he cooked all day. He didn't want to come home and cook." Um, and so we got a lot of my mom's cooking, and a lot of takeout as well, and frozen meals. And so when she said that, I was like, "Oh, I understand. When you have a culinarian in the house, unfortunately, their art is it's given to others, and you don't get to enjoy it as much because they gotta make money off of it. It's what they enjoy. I get it, but also you're like, could you just cook for me?" Like,
And they're tired of doing it after doing it for work.
yeah, yeah.
Santa
Mm-hmm.
says,
Mm-hmm.
"Christmas is not an industry, Crumpet. It's a holiday."
It might have been Mrs. Claus. It's either Santa or Mrs. Claus say that.
Yeah. One of them, I think it's Santa, but either way, I liked it because Christmas is an industry. It's a big part of our capitalism overlords, and it wears on a lot of people. And a lot of people are like, it's way too big, and what's the point of Christmas anymore? And it's giving the Grinch and like the Who's learning the meaning of Christmas,
Mm-hmm.
I just liked it. Also, it was naive, but it was true to an
Mm-hmm.
extent.
Mm-hmm.
Both things.
Mm-hmm.
Final thoughts, Jess?
This movie is so freaking good. Like, just go watch it. Part of me is like, I feel like this is going to be in my semi-regular, like, Christmas movie lineup. It was so wholesome and so fun.
You know what I also like? Is that there is only one actual present that is ever opened in the whole film, which is very rare for a Christmas movie.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not even a big, like, unwrapping. It's just the opening of a box.
Mm-hmm.
I really like that.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. It's very good. And it might go into my rotation because it's way better than I remembered.
Mm-hmm. Do you have any other final thoughts about the ultimate Christmas present?
No.
Okay.
Go watch it, people. Tell us your thoughts.
Yeah. Especially this is coming out right before the holidays. So it's the perfect time. You're going to be at home. Things are going to be a little bit slower. Throw this movie on. It's so, so cute. So, like, totally worth the hour and 20 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Up next, we're going to rewatch and talk about New Year's Eve. So that will be a fun one. As always, rate and review us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And you can follow us at 90s Babies Nostalgia. Spell out the word 90s on Instagram and YouTube. If you're looking for us on TikTok, use the numbers. And I think that's it.
Aside from that, stay merry and bright.
Yeah. See you in the next one. Bye.
Babies nostalgia.